Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Gin with Spearing, Innovating Now with Rutico. Today's topic is looking at how Weidmüller is helping customers improve their in-panel DC power distribution. The distribution of 24 volts DC within a control panel has become even more important over the years. Being able to reduce the number of connections improves reliability, and having a more compact design saves important cabinet space. I'd like to welcome Peter from Weidmüller to be with us today.
Thank you very much.
And the first thing, Peter, is tell us a bit about yourself and your role within Weidmüller, please.
So my name's Peter Croucher. I'm the local product manager in Weidmüller for quite a broad range of portfolios through the electronics, but also predominantly into the terminal portfolio. So 21 years within Weidmüller now, so a fair amount of experience across a broad number of products.
Thanks for bringing these samples in. I think it just kind of brings it all to life, doesn't it? Again,
yes,
by talking about the products. So again, I think for today we've got some new products that we're going to be talking about, but also I think it'd be good to go back and remind people about the evolution of Weidmüller over the years. Yes. So can you give us a bit of an introduction about the terminal offer that you've got?
Sure, no problem at all. I suppose from a pioneering point of view, we launched our first terminal in 1948, so the first dim rail mounted insulated terminal from the SAK range, right. Which is still with us, so still going strong.
It is, yeah.
Which kind of evolved into the W series that we see here at the front, so that's from about 1983, so again, it's been with us for quite some time. But there's kind of more of an evolution going on now, so we're very much focused on the future and panel building for the future, which has brought us into a lot of the products you see here, which is our push-in terminal range from the A series, so from about 2016, although our first push-in terminal was actually from 1978, would you believe? So we've had them for some time, but we've only just really started to, I suppose, accept them into the market, and our latest evolution is through into the snap-in as well. So we're continuing to evolve and pioneer new terminal technologies. I
think it's important, isn't it? You know, again, I was always brought up with like screw terminals.
Yes.
And I know, that there's obviously pros and cons, with those. Can you explain a bit more about the evolution from obviously some of the disadvantages of screw terminals? And that's not to disrespect, the product at all. I know it has its place, but again, why the Weidmüller evolution is looking at more push-in technology?
Absolutely. So yes, you're correct in saying, the W series terminal, it's the biggest seller, it's the most popular in the market, and is still an extremely good terminal. So, the real, I suppose, difference, and the main difference, is vibration safety is key. So the newer technologies are spring-based, which means with a screw clamp terminal, to ensure the safety and the reliability and vibration safety, you have to make sure you do the correct torque on the screwdriver. Yeah. When you start moving to push-in, then the torque is built into the terminal, and so therefore there's no torque to do. It's faster to install because there's no screws to do up. The vibration safety there because the spring doesn't relax. Yeah. So it's all about trying to speed up the panel build process, but also improve the reliability. If you're moving things around, making sure those connections are safe and fit for the long term.
I'm just thinking about OEMs. They build a machine, it goes on the back of a lorry, it gets vibrated, could be in the UK or delivery in Europe, and then they have some problems.
Yes.
And again, those problems are a lot of time and effort, especially for that, that acceptance testing phase. So again, I can definitely see the benefits of the push-in terminals. So again, we're going to talk about Snap. This is your brand new product. So give us a little bit of an insight on the Snap product compared to other push-in technologies that you've got.
Okay, so I guess the key difference between the two is if we sort of just demonstrate two of them. Push-in, as the name suggests, if you've got a ferruled cable, you can push directly into the terminal, and so the connection very, very quick and easy. If we take snap-in, the next evolution, you can also do the same thing but without a wire end ferrule.
So no ferrule at all?
No ferrule at all. Okay. So time saving over screw clamp, it can be up to around 50% mark with push-in. Taking a step further out again, so no wire end ferrule, no cost for a ferrule, no process. Wow. And it's just a simple insert in and connect.
Wow, and that's an engineering click, isn't it?
It is. That's
made its place there. And again, how do you disconnect both?
Both. So very, very simple. For the snap-in, click down and reset.
Okay. Yeah.
And for the push-in, it's the same push button just to release.
Okay.
So no special tools required, just a standard screwdriver. Wow. Very, very simple to insert and release.
So the time saving is massive on that, isn't it?
Yes. The big time saving comes from, you've already done it here with the, without having to do up 100 screws on the terminals, and a row of 50 terminals. Here, taking out the extra process of the wiring ferrule. So again, far, far more time saving when you're doing a large panel.
I think that's a really good step forward. I know, what's the conductor sizes you're offering at the moment? What does the range look like?
So at the moment we're 2.5, and now we've also added in 4 and double deck terminals and earth terminals to suit. Okay. So yep, that's kind of like getting to the core portfolio, shall we say.
That's evolving going forward.
Yep.
So thanks for that. It gives us good insight of the constant evolution of your product range going forward. And part of the conversation today was looking at the distribution products that you offer, because I think these have been kind of gone underneath the radar a bit with customers, because I can see the benefits of these distribution products. So tell us a bit more about these and what the advantage are for customers, especially that have got really tight panel space.
Certainly. So the biggest benefit of having the distribution terminals is when we introduced the A-Series, we looked at how terminals were used. And realised that you can take a standard 2.5mm feed through terminal and get it to doing all sorts of things. But if you want to distribute power, doing a large row of terminals for your 24 volts and another large row for 0 volts, very, very panel intensive, space intensive. So the idea of having these kind of products is to have a feed-in terminal. Okay. So in from the power supply, can be 6mm or 10mm, but then you have slices that you can add on the output. So 1.5mm 6 connections, if it's 2.5mm 5 connections.
Okay.
But basically then you can just keep building up the number of outputs that you want.
Okay.
So rather than having, you've got 6 connections here, rather than having 3 terminals, you can put it onto one thin slice. Yep. So instantly you're reducing the amount of space that the 24 volt distribution takes in the panel, because you've got, multiple slices, add a cross connection, so you can connect them all together, and the same on the 0 volt. So very, very compact.
So flexible, isn't it? So rather than that kind of horizontal phrase, you're compressing it and going vertical. Yes. I really like the idea of that. And you do, is it 6mm? And what's the other size that you do for the
6mm on the input or 10mm on the input, and that gives you, if you 10mm, then it's 2.5mm outputs.
And you can keep on building up on that, but again, you'll come to a point where your input that you're putting in here on your 6 or 10mm will be physically okay. You need to understand. So how can you configure this? How can you configure to make sure you've got the right terminals?
So the easiest way to actually configure these is to use our configurator tool. So we have a WMC, the Weidmüller configurator, and this allows you to lay out a rail and select product. But within that we have wizards. So these are set up as a wizard. So basically you've just got to say, I've got 24 plus connections, 24 0 volt connections. Do you want it marked? Yes, no. Press OK, and it will add all of the accessories, all of the end plates, the end stops, cross connections, and everything else for you. So it automatically determines what you need to make up that distribution.
It's kind of thinking for you. And I know on these distribution options, you do individual part numbers that are already pre-set up for customers as well. So they're ordering one part rather than multiple parts, so they get exactly what they want.
Yes.
I think that for me, I wasn't aware of those until I started looking at some new products from Weidmüller, and I think this is definitely one for panel builders which will save time.
Absolutely. It's all about trying to save time. As you say, pre-assembled, you can have 12-way or 24-way pre-assembled block, one part number, less to order, less to stock, very quick and easy to replace.
And also you can take the end off and then you can add another slither if you wanted to, to add some more onto that.
Yes, dual cross connection channels. So if you needed to add more, so you've got one connection channel here, you've got a second one, and then you just add extra movements on and keep expanding. So you can keep expanding along. And as you can see, test points available. So if you want to do panel testing, on the newer versions, we have connections for the output built into the input feed. Right. So you can reduce more space. Yeah. And also an earth terminal version as well, again, to try and condense.
I like the earth as well. Again, it's the whole offer that you have available. So again, I think this is a really good step forward. And again, thanks for telling us a bit more about those products. The last thing for me is this option on the top there. You do fuse versions as well?
So a fuse version. So if you want to fuse protect your outputs, you may have 3 loads that you want to protect with one fuse, or you might want to do them all individually. So you can have a input terminal again, as we had before, a fused terminal, which you can then essentially cross-connect to output terminals.
Yep.
So if you want multiple outputs, you cross-connect across, and then all of those outputs are protected by that main fuse there. And then you add the 0 volts, which you can also add a disconnect if you want to isolate 0 volt for testing.
Yeah.
So again, just a fused version of the same solution.
I've seen a great video talking about these as well.
Yes.
In a couple of minutes, it kind of also brings it all to life, especially with that disconnect piece as well.
Yep.
The last element for me is the marking. So that can be very time consuming, marking up these types of products. So again, what options do you have to mark up these types of products, or any of your terminals really?
So there are, I guess, various options for marking. If we looked at these, if you did it in the configurator, for example, and you've done a configuration, you want to buy that as one part number, you can do, and that you can add the marking. So you can automatically add the marking. You don't have to buy the markers and mark them yourselves. We do multiple marking systems, so you can print your own, so we can do them on a card or on a reel, so they're all on one strip that you can put down in one go. So there's multiple options to be able to mark and identify the individual slices, the main incoming terminals, or even the row, so you can identify an entire row of products. So there are so many marking options, individual strips, you can find something for everything.
I think the configuration tool is giving you the options, isn't it? Okay,
Yes.
So I think that's a good output from today, is to have a look at the configuration tool. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, okay, for that insight. So, and I hope this video gives you a better understanding of what the Weidmüller DC distribution options are, as well as the history of Weidmüller. And thanks for being with us today, Peter. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you for your time.
If you're looking to know more, please get in touch with your Retico local sales representative, or use the below website link to get in touch with myself. Again, thanks for watching this video today, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell, and look out for the next Jim Whispering video coming very soon. Thank you.